Hello, welcome back to my channel. So last night I read The Privy Counselor. It's the second short story in my Chekhov, portable Chekhov edition here. It's a little bit longer than the first story Vanka was. It's I think a little over 20 pages. It's a very interesting story. It's not as depressing as Vanka was. Essentially, what the story is, it opens up with a young boy talking about a letter that his mother receives, and the mother is the owner of this house. She receives a letter from her brother, who is a privy counselor as well as a general, and she receives this letter that he says, instead of going to his typical summer vacation spot, he has decided to come and stay with her and her family so that he can see her. They haven't seen each other in 15 years. And so it's a really exciting moment for this household to be receiving such a prominent political figure. And so the whole household goes in to kind of a panic of cleaning and cooking giant amounts of food, cleaning the entire house, beating all of the rugs, beating all of the cushions from the sofas and chairs, cleaning all of the curtains, just a super deep clean of this entire house in preparation for the arrival of this really prominent figure. The boy, the son, talks about how he is so excited to meet a real general, and he says multiple times how he's excited to see his shoulder medals and his bear saber in his hand, and he has this very heroic image of what he expects this general to be. Then the general arrives, and he arrives a little over a month later after his letter was delivered. And when he arrives, at first, the man who's at the door, the boy thinks is the general, and it turns out that the man who knocked on the door is kind of the general's second-hand man, general's secretary type of guy who aide de camp, I think would be the military term. He answers the door, or he knocks on the door for the general. And the boy finds out that the general is out in the garden walking with his mother. And so he's so excited to go and get his first glimpse of this general, who is his uncle, and who just has to be the most heroic figure ever. And so he looks through the window out into the garden, and he sees his mom and this sort of young-looking, middle-aged man, very tall, very lean, he has a smiling countenance, a very friendly face, and nothing about him strikes this boy as being heroic. He's not really wearing a uniform. He doesn't carry a saber, and so the boy is immediately disappointed, immediately let down, because he has been waiting this whole time. He wants to see this heroic figure, and then he gets this person instead of the hero he had in his mind. And so essentially the rest of the story is this general, the uncle, staying with his sister and his nephew in their house with all of their servants, who they have basically bent backwards to make it as perfect as they possibly can. And the general loves it. The general really enjoys his stay there. He keeps commenting on how everything in this home just feels so real to him. And he says that all the time. He just says, this feels so real to me. And everyone else around him doesn't really know why he keeps saying this. And he's just kind of a strange guy. He's not mean. He's not arrogant in any way. He is just somewhat odd. Just a little odd-turned. He's a very curious guy. And so essentially the end of this story is the general falls in love with one of the servants of the household, who is married, and asks her to go with him to St. Petersburg. after he leaves this house. And he asks this in front of the woman's husband. And so the woman's husband gets really mad at him, throws him out of the room that they're in, and says he doesn't want to see him, says he doesn't want to see him again. And the husband goes to the mother, the owner of the house, the mistress, and says, can you get rid of your brother? He is, he's trying to take my wife from me. And so she tells her brother, you should probably not do that. You should probably leave soon. And so she pays him 3,000 rubles to be able to have the money he needs to travel back to where he was originally going. So it's hinted at that maybe he's not actually as wealthy as he appears. He's taking money from his sister to be able to travel where he needs to go. And so the whole climax of the story is this uncle, this general, coming to stay with them. We get a little bit of their interaction while he's there. He asks a married woman to go with him to St. Petersburg, not realizing that she's married because he likes her. He is thrown out of the household, given money, and sent away. And that's how the story ends. So it was a very entertaining story, quite short. It's a quick read, very entertaining. There are some humorous dialogue, but when it comes to plot, when it comes to story, there's not a lot there. There's not a lot that's really holding you there. It almost read to me more like a very, very short play rather than a short story. It felt like something that would be more of a play rather than a short story. But I really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to keep digging into these and reading more and more of them, because I have a feeling they're all going to be so different and so unique. I'm really curious to see how that plays out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.